Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Set the Pipe. Again, I can't do this without my co-host. There is CK. There's Bear. And the East Coast correspondent DDT is joining us today, and we are going to change it up a little bit. Dave DeTinley went out and got a very special guest that has affected all of us actually here. So, Dave, I today wanted you to do the introductions. Go ahead.
You got it. All right, we're honored to have a wonderful guest today. 40 years coaching experience, over 500 wins. Started at University of Utah as a women's volleyball assistant coach, if I saw that right, or coach's assistant. Has multiple stops in the D1 women's programs, University of Utah, BYU, University of New Mexico, Utah State, Weber State. Moved into and has also D1 as well as D3 men's programs. He was the head coach at BYU. He was the head coach at Penn State, and in 2017 moved to Buena Vista, Virginia, and founded the Southern Virginia men's volleyball program in 2017. If I could also go on here, 3 NCAA championships, 2 at the D1 level, BYU and Penn State, and we'll get to the next one, but 3-time collegiate men's club national championships. This was a good one, Coach, as well at BYU. 8 Final Four appearances, 3 Continental Volleyball Conference titles, 4 times CVC Coach of the Year, an AVCA D1 and D3 National Coach of the Year, a Volleyball Magazine's Coach of the Year. Hold on, I got to breathe for a second. Okay. Numerous All-Americans, all conferences, and we can't end the welcome without saying the 2025 head coach of the Division III NCAA National Champions at Southern Virginia, the Knights. Welcome, Coach Tom Peterson.
Welcome, Coach.
Tom, welcome.
Glad to have you on the
Thank
podcast.
you, thank you. You make
We
me
are
sound
honored.
pretty old, I got to say that.
It's so glad to have you. So glad to have you. I don't know if I would consider it old, and I kind of say this to everyone, Coach, on our podcast. Like, I know you've been around it for so long. When you sit and actually hear that, what is? I mean, does it just take you back to all the years you got to do this with the young men and women that you're able to coach with? I mean, wow, what a resume.
Well, thank you for saying that. When you start coaching the people you've coached, and then their sons, and then their sons, after it gets crazy. But I've enjoyed it. It's been a good ride, getting to be a long ride. And especially right now, I'm enjoying what I'm doing right now immensely. In fact, the group of guys that we've had this year, I'd probably just start us off by saying that it's probably the best group of guys overall that I've been closer to them than probably any other group, and that's saying a lot. I've been close to a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. So why is that? I mean, why is that? I mean, Division I forever, right? You got a taste of the women's as well, but all these years that you've been coaching high levels and just super competitive, this year's a little different. Yeah. Why? So why is that?
Wow, the off court stuff I think is so important this year.
Yeah.
You know, as in Division III, most people know that we don't have athletic scholarships. So it's not just a job, it's something that's a passion, and not just working for money. Money is probably not the least of the factors of what we're doing. And the guys are just great. The service they give to other people, what they do in the classroom. Here's another little one too. We had our night awards the other night, it's called. So the school gets together with all the athletic teams, and one of the awards that we won was the highest academic or the highest GPA for the men's sports.
Oh, congratulations!
That's awesome.
That's
That's a big deal.
Big deal.
Yeah. And my wife helps with that. She's an assistant coach, Cheryl Peterson, and she has study hall. She goes herself. She makes them work hard, and they work hard for her. And that's probably the best award she could have received that night. Yeah. So all in all, I would say just on and off the court, they're just a great, great group of guys.
I mean, you could tell on the court. I was there for the semis as well as the finals. All the celebrations, the way you guys celebrated afterwards. I mean, it was clearly an incredibly family-oriented, family environment. They were celebrating for each other. I don't know. It was a fantastic environment there.
So I'm going to maybe ask I don't know if it's a tough question, but you've coached, 1994, you win a national championship at Penn State. 1993, we beat you in the semis at when I was at Northridge. Sorry, I had to say that. It's okay. You still got the championship. We didn't get it. No, what I had to say, I was just kidding. But the reason why I was asking you is like, well, I'm not. You've gotten to coach in so many different decades, and the difference of the game today to the difference of the game when you coached against me in 1993, NAIA, D3, D1, where do you see the biggest difference from you coaching back in 1993, 94 to coaching in 2025?
Well, I'd probably start off by saying there's more similarities than there are dissimilarities, but there are differences. I think that one of the biggest changes in volleyball per se is how fast the ball gets out of the setter's hands. The speed of the set, the speed of the offense. It used to be you can block with 2 or 3 guys many times because the ball is going to be set so high.
Right.
And nowadays, just the complexity of the offense, the back row hitting, that's different. So I think the offensive change and how fast it goes, that would be a good change.
Yeah. Do you train the same way that you did back then compared to today with like, again, 93 or back in 2004 BYU to 2025 today?
Boy, I'd like to say I add on every year or something, but yeah, it is similar. It's just that what we work on is probably a little more sophisticated, more statistics that you get into. And I don't know, like my assistant coach, Cheryl, once again, she sits, if you saw her on TV probably, she sits right next to me, and she's developed her own statistics with hitting percentage. And it tells us in practice, it's great because I can tell which setter is setting in each row, the various guys that we're trying out for positions, what they're doing, how fast. The statistics have improved. The friendly use of statistics is improved. Just all of the above. It's probably just like most sports, everything evolves a little bit.
Yeah.
But essentially it's the same. You got to go out and you got to work hard, and there you go.
So statistics are different, more advanced than back in the day, but the fundamentals still the same, even though you have it's got to change, right? From a serve receive perspective, being able to use your hands, when we were able to do that, the sets have got to come out clean. Now they're just coming out, right? So do you train that differently, or just the kids coming into your program, they're already doing that, so how do you train that?
Wow. I mean, a little complicated there. If you're passing a float serve, not a top spin serve,
right,
now you can go challenge that by just moving up into the court. And if you're a tall player, you can almost go up by the 10-foot line almost and use your hands, and it can look ugly, and they're not going to call a lift on you or whatever, a carry. And so you can control the ball much easier. We had this year, one of our players, call him Jimbo, Jeremiah Brown. He used his hands even for the hard topspin serves. I'm not sure I've ever seen anybody do that like he does it, but it's easier to control if you can use your hands.
Interesting.
Yeah. I would have loved to have that when I played. I think it would have been really fun to be able to do, different things. I was not a great passer, putting my arms out, but I think I would have been a better passer if I was able to use my hands. And I think that's a great part of the game. I watch it a lot more now in the last year or two, and the speed is ridiculous on the men's side. It's just crazy. I don't like how they let everything go, but I understand the argument. So it's not like I'm going to argue against. I totally get why, and I think it's better for the game, and people that aren't casual volleyball fans can just watch the game and don't know what's happening. What's a lift? What's a double? Like, just play the game. But it, as a purist or someone that grew up in the 80s and 90s, some of it's tough for me. But again, I've accepted it and trying to enjoy it, embrace just the athleticism of what they do with it.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. You couldn't take even with your hands, even on a clean just set, you couldn't take a serve back in the day.
No,
And the ball couldn't hit the net. So
right.
How many jump serves did you see? You just didn't see that many. And you many times, in fact, you almost always saw just 2 passers. If you had 2 passers, that's who passed all the serves.
The whole court.
Floats, yeah.
I'd move the opposite in every once in a while on that rare jump serve to get a 3-person pass, but it was always 2-person passing for sure.
Unless you're at Long Beach, they just had one with Matt Lyles. They just had him. Or you actually had Zach.
Small.
What am I talking
It
about?
was
Small.
Zach Small.
Him and Zach,
Come
like
on
two of the
now.
best passers ever. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, actually, I'll tell you, we keep trying to add on a little bit. We pass with 4 quite often,
Oh,
and that even cuts down even more the aces side to side. It kind of complicates who's going to pass what, but yeah, now we don't get so you don't have to move so much.
Is that a product of the serves, the jump serves just getting harder and harder, faster
Yeah.
and faster? I mean, so you need 4 back there to cut down the court.
Absolutely, and you give the server a different look too.
Yep.
Most teams are going to pass with 3, and then you put a 4th person in there, and it kind of gives the server a different look. They may change a little bit.
yeah.
Plus, like I said, you don't have to move side to side so much.
So random conversation that we had a couple podcasts ago. Do you remember Team Cup? Do you remember that happening in California? Do you remember that?
I do.
So what do
Not
you
like I
think?
was part of it, but I do remember.
Yeah. I mean, and I was there watching. Coley was there watching. We started bringing up the rules. I mean, they had 4-person block, but they had the 10-foot line at the 4 meter, not the 3 meter line. And with these guys, 6'9", 6'8", 6'7", and they're jumping through the roof. Would you welcome that change if they ever move that back? I mean, because the game would be different. It really would. I mean, it gives you. It sounds funny, but it's another meter
My
to try to
vote's a
dig
no.
that ball.
Well,
You're no
I'm
fun,
going to tell
Coley.
you that I have a short team. Yeah, I'm going to vote for that. If I have a tall team, or vice versa. I don't know what. Yeah.
They don't move the rim up from 10 feet in hoops when guys are 6'10", jumping 40 inches. I
Well,
mean, I
maybe
think
they
that,
should.
that's
Just saying.
I mean, yeah, it would make it a little better, like raising the net to 8-3, bringing the thing. But like the game is so fun to watch right now, and it's so dynamic and so athletic and so big. So I don't know. That's volleyball, and everything's evolved, like Coach just said. Like
Yeah.
I've never even thought about looking at 4 people, but you change, you evolve, you develop whatever you need to do to be successful. And I don't know. I think that they shouldn't change it.
I just asked from a perspective because they change rules every year.
Yeah, you're right.
They do, right? So I'm like, so is this coming up? And if we would, that kind of thing. But hey, Bear. So, Coach, after BYU, you spent some time at Utah State, correct?
Well, after BYU, the first or second time, it's hard to tell, but Utah State women,
Okay.
and that was fun. I think that the Utah State program went, I don't know, 3-20 something, or something to maybe I'm exactly wrong, but
Sure.
not
They're
a very
struggling.
good win-loss percentage. In
Right.
the very first year, we thought that we might even go to the NCAA playoffs with the record that we had.
Oh, nice.
And then I was only there 2 years. The second year we did go, and we were in the top 20. So that was kind of a big change, and that was fun.
So you know Grayson DuBose, correct?
I do. He
He and I were teammates back in the 80s. And I'm just
helped
kind of
him, yeah.
wondering, what's your relationship with him? How do you know him?
Well, back at Utah State, I did not know Grayson, but he was working in a video store, probably one of those VHS, whatever.
Yeah,
whatever.
Blockbuster or
whatever.
something. Yeah, for sure.
Those VH.
Back in one, Blockbuster.
Yeah.
You're aging all of us here.
Yeah,
Coach.
all of us, 'cause we all know what you're talking
And all
about.
the youngsters listening to this going,
what's a
Blockbuster?
Blockbuster?
What's a
What's
VHS?
a VHS? You didn't pull beta out of. Oh, thank goodness.
And we did not have much money to pay an assistant. And just the contacts I had said, hey, Grayson is this great guy, and he would love to get into volleyball. And I don't know how many people I'm going to be able to hire. I want to say it was like $3,000 they said you can go out and spend.
Wow.
Then it became $8,000. I think that's what it ended up. And Grayson said, well, okay, Blockbuster or $8,000. I'm going to do that. And we coached together, and we just clicked right
Yeah.
from the
Oh,
beginning.
good.
He's one of the nicest guys in the world.
Oh,
He's a
good guy.
great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy with a lot of great stories. Yeah.
Yeah, before he came on, we were just he's just one of the nicest guys in volleyball, and I mean you can't. I don't know anybody that says anything bad about Grayson, so we'd love to have him come on as well. But we just found out he's in South Dakota, Black Hills, right? Just took that job in January, so
Yes, I wish him lots of luck.
Yeah, we all do.
yeah, we all do for sure.
Coach, do you remember in '93, that same year, I brought that up, but do you remember us coming to you guys a match, and then we took the bus to Springfield where you smashed us in that championship game in the Springfield Classic. And do you remember the bus ride?
I absolutely did, and I remember where you sat on the bus. You probably were making fun of me and the team and all of that. But
The funny thing is, I don't know if you know this happened in the back, and it's funny because this is about stories, and it's a joke on me is, so we all get on the bus, we play at Penn State, Northridge goes out, we play at Penn State, and then we drive together, us and Penn State, in a bus to Holyoke to play in a classic, and we ended up playing them in the championship match, and they beat us. And so we drove a bus, and I'm trying to get everyone to lock someone in the bathroom, and someone would go in and we'd lock them for like 30 seconds. And then I went in the bathroom, and both teams locked me in for like an hour, for like the last hour of the drive. So I'm like, I'd lock someone in for like a minute or two, and like, and then like I get in there, they lock me in for an hour. It's unbelievable.
yeah,
And then we
but
go.
you deserved it, I think. So,
I did deserve it. No question. No question. John Price will be the first one to tell you that. I did deserve it. So you guys had a great team. And then the next year, I mean, that team we played in 93 was awesome. Dave Muir was there. And then the next year he wasn't, but you had Contreras, and, you guys beat UCLA. So how was that to be the coach of the first team to ever win a national championship in volleyball, that side of, I would say, Arizona, not even the Mississippi.
outside of California.
Yeah, outside of California.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, well, that was something, of course. And UCLA, I think I read in Volleyball magazine when it came out, like, this volleyball, there's something wrong in the volleyball world. It's upset. It's something, the polls reversed or something, because it was a first.
Yeah.
And I actually think that was really good for volleyball.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I don't think we disagree with that. Yeah.
I mean, at the time of being a West Coast guy, we're like, oh yeah, why couldn't you just, UCLA did it the year before and let us beat them. But the thing I think, like you said, I think it was pivotal because, first of all, volleyball, you would know, more than me from where you were coaching. But when I was, we were in college, you started to see volleyball explode. Sorensen's from Wisconsin, Nygaard's from Wisconsin. Yeah. New York has a bunch of people, Rich Bland, coming from New York to UCLA. I mean, I could go on, all the folks playing at Penn State and Ohio State. When you won, it changed everything. Everyone's like, wait a second. We can win too. Like, I don't have to go to UCLA or Stanford or Northridge. Not that anyone was going to Northridge, but we can go to Penn State. We can go to Ohio State. We can go to, now Lewis and these schools and win. So congrats to you for doing that, to be the first one to ever do that, but really to change the trajectory of men's volleyball.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for saying that. Obviously, just being part of that was fun. Many people ask me, which one do you cherish the most out of the championships?
It's on our question list, by the way.
Okay. Should I answer it now?
Yeah.
Well, it's too tough to say in just words like, which child do you like the most, or are you going to love the most? But the first championship, that's just something else, because nobody can take that away from you, and that's something that you can always say. And the guys keep reminding me of that, and they're still a bunch of good guys, and they're old and they're fat like I am and all that. But that'll be a first, and it always will be.
Yeah. Alan Knipe said the same thing. We asked him the same question, similarity, and he's just like, they were all just different. I hate to say that but the feels were different. The emotions were different because the different players and the connection he had with the players, or was the way the schedule and his season went. He goes, they were just all different and special in their own right. So that was his answer to us. And sounds like the first one always is great. I mean, and Bear and I were on the 91 team, right? The first, and we thought, oh gosh, we're going to win like 4 or 5 of these things. It's so hard. And then the next one, they went in 2017, 2018, around there. It took a long time. It's hard to win those things. And Coach, you've won 2 Division I's, and this year winning a D3. That's super impressive. So I think with our research, we were talking before you came on, I think you and Spera are the only 2, and Spera's kind of a stud, are the only 2 coaches at Division I at 2 different schools. Am I correct on that?
I'll be honest, I don't even know.
Yeah, right. I think that's it. I think it's John Spera and you, with John doing UCI, and then he goes to UCLA, wins a couple there. So yeah, between the 2, but I think you're the only ones done D1 and D3 ever.
Drop the mic.
Well, some people have told me that, and I don't want to dwell on it, but it's a privilege wherever I go. as long as it's volleyball and it's guys that enjoy playing volleyball and listen to me every once in a while, that's the place to be.
Well, and again, we all, get it. I mean, maybe me, I'm a little different because I like to pat myself on the back, but just trying to be funny there. But the thing about it, Coach, is, you deserve it. And really, you deserve all the accolades. And I know it's hard sometimes to just sit there and listen to it. But I mean, to win 3 national championships, to win them in 2 different divisions is just, it's ridiculous. And then on top of it, like you said, you can't rank them, but to have your first one be so dramatic in the volleyball world, to win it like that against who you beat, Al Skates, UCLA, first time ever to win a national championship. Like you said, outside of California, Penn State did it. So, wow, kudos to you for all of them. And, and last thing I'll say before, everyone kicks me off and I'll listen is kudos to you that you're still coaching and teaching. Yep. You have so much knowledge. You've been around so many great players and coaches and staffs, and to be able to give that to the young kids is for me, I think that's great. I think that's lost today in a lot of sports. Is what really matters about coaching is why you do it. And so it's just great to see that you're still doing that for so many.
No, appreciate it. Yeah. Why do you coach? That's always a question. Do you coach just to win? Do you coach to try to develop people, or do you try to develop the sport and have fun while you're doing it? And probably all of the above, I guess, is the answer. But if I were doing it just to win, I probably wouldn't be moving around to, I think at last count, my wife told me about 9 different universities I've been at and all. That's not planned. It's just that everywhere I've been, it's been great people, worked with great people, and that's what it's all about.
You talk about working with great people, and you've been doing this for over 40 years. Has there been a coach or a person that's been special to you or a mentor to you to help you through those years?
Yeah, it's probably not fair to leave somebody out here, but I will say that Carl McGowan is one of my mentors at BYU. I got into volleyball late. My sister played volleyball. She was actually pretty good. She played on our national team for a while, way back when the national team consisted of getting together for a couple of weeks and practicing and then trying to go to the World Games or something like that. And she was on one of those teams. She played at BYU. And so now I'm at BYU, but not a volleyball player. If you grew up when I did and you're outside of California, not much going on for boys volleyball.
Sure.
So I had a beginning volleyball class. And Carl McGowan was the coach or the teacher.
Okay.
And he came up to me. We're learning how to serve. It's one of the first things he's going over. And he says to me, "Oh, you're a tennis player, aren't you?" And I said, "I did play tennis. Why do you ask?" He said, "You look like a tennis player when you're trying to serve volleyball." And just after that, I just soaked up everything from Carl that I could. What a great mentor to have. You guys know him.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's one of the most brilliant, if not the best volleyball minds that, in volleyball. He passed away a few years ago.
Right.
And one of the best human beings in volleyball as well.
Yeah.
He's wonderful. So
yes.
I'm good friends with Marv Dunphy. I like saying that. I'm sure he would say the same. But and he's been a mentor. I went to school with him at BYU for a couple of years. When he was getting his doctorate degree. And we had statistics together and we studied together every once in a while and tried to figure out some things. So that's what we have in common. But good friends with Marv. And I think personality-wise, I think he's probably the guy that I would say is one of the best, if not the best, to motivate people. Getting people to run through walls for him, that's what he does the best. So a couple of guys to mention.
Those are 2 of the best to ever do it at Mount Rushmore for me up there, and the coaches in the USA to ever do it. So that's great that you got to work under them, understand, and be able to be friends with them and bounce ideas off them all over the years. No wonder you beat UCLA in '94.
Hey, Dave, you have a relationship with Dunphy as well, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Escondido, California, when Marv was the national team head coach, and his son, I was a high school teammate of his son, Dejan, as well. I mean, essentially, I learned how to play volleyball at the Dunphy's house. So great memories there.
Hey, so let me take you back to when you won the national championship against our Long Beach State 49ers. We looked at the scores before you came.
Let's go back there.
Yeah,
that's what I really wanted to talk about. Let's go.
I didn't, but I was kind of outvoted. No, just kidding. Just the scores of those last two sets, and the score was to 30. It wasn't to 25. Was unbelievable. 19-17 in the fifth, 32-30 in the fourth. I mean, I didn't go. I wasn't around there at that time. But yeah, if you've got some memories, I know it's going to sting, but those you just can't bypass those numbers to an excellent match. And if I could take Coley out of this conversation, that would be great because he's just going to put salt in the wound, which is fine. But I'd love to hear your perspective, Coach, because it seemed like an epic battle.
Well, okay, I'm going to try to make it sting just even more.
Love it.
Coach.
That year, so we're in the MPSF, and all of us, Long Beach and all. It was only the MPSF. Or Mountain, what was it?
It was I think it went from the WEVA to the.
It wasn't the WEVA then, was it?
No, the WEVA was finished when I played in the WEVA, and then I think 90s. It was it wasn't the MPSF, it was the, why can't I think of it? We should all know this. Wow. I'll think about it in a second, Coach.
Coley will get
Google it.
I got you.
Thanks, Dave.
WEVA, wherever it was.
Yeah.
That was 4 times that year that we had to play Long Beach State.
Oh,
okay.
2 times, a home and home,
Mm-hmm.
and then in the playoffs for conference, and then in the finals. 4-0. I'm just going to rub it in again. 4-0.
Wow.
And the 2 matches during the season that was at Long Beach State, and they were both in the 5th overtime, I think.
Jeez.
So, battles. Wow.
To beat somebody that's that good 4 times.
4 times.
Actually, that's a big time memory for me.
That's huge.
I mean, you had Hildebrand, right? Setting. Who was in the middle? Lee was
David Lee.
Davinsky on the
Olympian. They're talking Olympians right there, right? On the Long Beach State side. Wow.
Well, another little memory is that, okay, you go to our team and you can mention guys on the national team or played for the national team.
Yeah.
Nope, I don't think any of our guys played for the
crazy.
national team. So
wow. And if I'm not mistaken, was Casey Patterson on that team? But he was I think he was
a little bit later.
Yeah. Oh, he was later. Okay.
Later. Yeah.
Oh, he was in. Okay.
Wow. Well, that stung, but that's fine. That's why you're on here. Tell stories. But impressive, right? And impressive, just like who went on to be the Olympians, and you didn't have any Olympians, so that chemistry just have been out of this world to be able to go 4-0. I mean, self-admitting, Long Beach State was really good that year, right? So for you guys to topple them, I just look at the scores. I'm like, oh, that just would have been so much fun to actually be there. It'd been heartbreaking for me, but of course, just in terms of the sport, that was just probably awesome if you were there attending. And as a coach to win the whole thing, holy enchilada, that's awesome.
Yeah, and of course you didn't know who's going to come out on top, and to do that each time, that's why I have less hair than I should, for sure.
It was a gnarly match. I was in Austin with like Jared Elliott, who's the coach of Texas, and a bunch of friends, and we were all watching it at a bar, and we knew Hildebrand, and it was just an awesome match to watch as a fan of volleyball. Like, it was so close. It could have went either way, and like, again, to see you guys pull it off and win was again, I'm not cheering for against anyone in those days, but it was, what a match. And I think we should start replaying some of those matches on our YouTube channel, like back in the day. I think it'd be fun for some of these folks. And then you can compare the eras of watching the game today going, oh, Bick is like 2 feet off the net at like 3 feet. Guys are running all over the place. We're setting high balls and like X's over the top, like crazy game. But congrats again on that.
CK, I found your 93 championship match against UCLA. I'm not kidding. We just talked about the hands and throwing and all that. In the second point of the match, somebody got called for a throw or a lift, a double, or something like that.
That's the way it was.
Yeah. My goodness.
Hey, so Coach, a couple of things I definitely want to cover is, I'm sure you've heard about GCU and them getting rid of their program, right? And then of course we want to get some really good details about your national championship this year for D3, because self-admitting Coley and Bear and myself, we're follow D1. We follow D1, right? And then we're seeing the explosiveness of people adding in the D3 and NAIA. And then I got in touch with Dave because social media, and then all of a sudden our interest was piqued. So, but let's go back to GCU a little bit. I want to know your thoughts on that, because it sure does hurt everybody to lose a Division I / Division II school to go, and they were just in the semifinals last year, and then just at a drop of a hat, they get rid of that program. You have any thoughts on that at all?
Yeah, maybe I'd start off by saying that this is different. If you were just saying, oh, one program drops, this is men's volleyball. For so many years, most of my life, men's programs had to scramble, had to fight and claw for everything. And I think men's volleyball stuck around enough just because of the sport itself, how great a sport it is, to play it, to watch it, and all of that. Otherwise, it would have been gone. Title IX would have had it go a long time ago.
Right.
So it stuck around, but because of, I don't know, is that political, whatever, but Title IX and a few other things, administrators, I'll never understand all administrators. How easy a sport is men's volleyball to administer?
We talk about that.
The net's there.
The
poles are there.
And some balls.
The courts.
Put on a shirt. There's your uniform.
Right.
Yeah.
All of that. And so to claw, just be part of men's volleyball and keep it going. Men's volleyball, or the players and the coaches, I don't know, support one another at a level not seen, not on the women's side even. It's not as cutthroat. I always found when I was coaching the guys versus the girls, I'm sure you're probably going to get into that, but I always found that the guys were very willing to share their knowledge, their magic per se, to help you win, even when they are your competitor. That doesn't happen in most sports, because we were trying to help each other and stay alive for so many years. And now that men's volleyball all of a sudden is growing so much, it's just hard to understand how administrations can figure, we're going to save a few bucks. Maybe it's the NIL or whatever it is, but we're going to save a few bucks by eliminating this great sport of volleyball. And to add on to that, such a great team, a good team.
Right.
It's crazy.
And Coley's brought this up. Like, how many sports does any university have that has a shot of winning a national championship?
D1 national championship.
Division
D1, yeah.
Put up a banner in that gym, and they don't. Right? It's literally the next year, and usually, like we said before, is you would think they would give them a year. Hey, let's see if we can get alumni and wrap it. Is it a money thing? Nope. It was boom, you're done. Here's a 5-minute conversation out of here, and it was just it was just awful. So, I think we're on the same page on that. But you've been around a long time, and just to see that happen overnight, I was really curious and was wanting to see where your take on that, because obviously everybody respects you from a Division I, II, and III perspective. So from our podcast, it sounds like you're just as heartbroken as we are.
Yeah, San Diego State way back in the day.
Oh, we talked about
that one.
Brutal.
Right, it was during my year,
Horrible.
like right after my
LMU,
year.
right
that one hurt.
Well, the thing that this impacts, first of all, we're all just like you. First of all, GCU has a lot of money compared to a lot of other schools. So I'm really surprised that they did this. That's first thing. I said this on the last pod. Two is, like you just said, they have a real shot. It doesn't cost a lot of money. They were just in the Final Four. They just offered scholarships to kids a week or two prior to that. All of these things. But what it does now is, I was telling someone this past week, and imagine if you're a junior in high school at any school across the country and you're one of the better middle blockers, right? Like you're a junior being recruited. GCU has freshmen and sophomores that have played college volleyball at a high level. That scholarship opportunity for that junior in high school could be gone at the school that they were looking at, because they're going to take these kids. And there's a lot of kids at that school that will be playing college volleyball somewhere next year. It's going to impact a lot of kids. There's 10, 12 kids, maybe 6, 7, whatever it would be. And that's a shame for sure. But how do you take GCU out a little bit? How do we go or try to grow Division I men's volleyball? Listening to Dave and all the stuff that we've talked about since we've been on this, D3 is growing like it's like a weed. You keep growing new teams. There's over 300 teams. We talked about it before. There's like 2 or 3 new teams coming in next season. You guys are adding teams, and D1 is slow. Now, hopefully not any more than this, but subtracting them. How do we grow it, you think, or how do we change it?
I wish I could sound real smart about this. I'm not sure that I am. I did spend some years trying to help out. I was the club coach at BYU just before it went NCAA, and I could give you a lot of good stories about why it went NCAA and the trouble I always got in for trying to help it to go NCAA with our administration there. And it's a little bit different. I actually think it was very smart for some people to get together and help with money. Just a little bit of money went a long ways.
Yeah.
But you got to do it in the right way. You got to pique the interest of an administrator. I'm going to say a team. I hope this is okay to talk about it. I spent some time trying to help a team be an NCAA sport, Division I, and a UVU. I don't know if anybody even knows who that is. Utah Valley.
Yep. Utah Valley.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
They've had a very good club team for years and years and years. It's one of the few schools where there are more male students than female by a decent amount. And so Title IX was not the problem. Well, an administrator, I'll just say, thought, ooh, I like men's tennis. Men's tennis was the team they chose to make a varsity sport. Then they figured, oh, we've got to build some tennis courts, I guess. And so it was very expensive.
Sure.
So next time around, just a few years later, an administrator was a wrestler, former wrestler. They chose wrestling over men's volleyball. Then they found out that they couldn't wrestle in the facility they had. They had to build a whole nother facility. And my point in all of that is that should be a varsity sport. That would have been travel companions with BYU.
Oh, right.
It would have been huge.
Yeah.
All these good teams in their gym. And now UVU is over 35,000 students or something. It's just growing and growing.
Yeah, and their hoops have gotten better, so people know who they are, and like it would, like you said, it would have been such a fantastic way to grow. We talked with a few, like when Al Knipe was on here, he was talking about the Big Ten, and you coached in the Big Ten. Could you imagine if all of those schools had men's volleyball, like Michigan and Wisconsin and Minnesota, Indiana, now it's Rutgers and Nebraska. Like the fans in Nebraska love volleyball. Could you imagine if they had a men's team and you had Ohio State playing there? I'm sure they'd pack it. I just don't understand, like you said, like the cost is minimal. Things have changed dramatically, and we don't need to go if we want to go into the whole NIL discussion, and it's tough, but like you already have all the stuff. You already have all the equipment. It's completely the opposite time of the year. You have all that equipment in all of your rec centers too, because the fraternities and the sororities play. There is so much space in those big universities that you could find a gym, a court, maybe 2 for a men's volleyball program. You could.
So how do you educate the administration? That's one aspect. You've got to figure out how to do that. Money talks. So it's got to be more than just a few $1,000s nowadays. But money is the other way. So when you ask me that question, we have to educate people on why volleyball. What a spectator sport. Right. What a team sport. I think more than any other sport, volleyball is the consummate team sport, et cetera, et cetera. And how do you educate people to that fact? And I think it can be almost, exponential growth, the fans and everything else. So it's just waiting for somebody to see it and do it. A conference, having the conference. That's the other part, is the administration of a conference buying into it.
Well, I hope we've talked in this. We're going to have him on here someday because he was on that 94 UCLA team. He beat a kid by the name of John Spara, who's done okay for himself with volleyball. He's someone that I'm sure he has so many ideas, but like, how about going to the Big Ten conference, whatever they're having the meeting, and sit there and show it's the number 1/2 played sport in the world. It's around the world, right? It's that big. Gyms are full everywhere. Not here, and be able to promote it and talk through the business aspect of why, and how you can create it. You have everything there. And like you said, if you can get a conference like the Big Ten, now with UCLA and USC going into there, so that's 2 anchor men's volleyball programs that have been some of the best of all time. You could somehow go to the commissioner and the whole league and say, this is what we can do and why. Like, if we can get an anchor conference like that, then you can go to the ACC, then you can go to the Big 12. But I think the Big 10 would be the place to start, just because there's 5 teams in there, 6 teams now, with Penn State, Ohio State, UCLA, USC. Am I missing one that has volleyball? I know they don't. I think that's it, actually.
Yeah. Rutgers used to have it, but no. Yeah.
But so, yeah, I don't know. Like you said, I don't know the answer, but I appreciate your candidness and the things you're talking about. It's really, like Al said, it's the NCAA and the administration, like just really sitting down and understanding what it takes to run a program. And it's such a fun game. It's such a great game to go to. So many things you can do with the university with it. Like, I don't know. I think they're missing the boat. They've been missing it for a while, but I just hope it grows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we all do.
Yeah, so it was interesting when we first started this. Coley was out of men's volleyball for a while, and we're all volleyball people. And he finally went to a match. I think it was UCLA, Long Beach State, and he comes back on the pod, and he became an instant fan overnight. He's like, "Oh my gosh, it's changed so much. It's so fast." So, if you get somebody that 3-time first team All-American, getting back, and all he does, it takes 1 match to get into it. I mean, it was so wonderful to see. And like you said, I think there's a lot that we can give and present just from a fan experience perspective. And because we talk about Hawaii and Long Beach State back-to-back nights at Hawaii, 10,300 people in attendance back-to-back, right? That's pretty impressive. And we got to get that word out. So let's pivot a little bit to this year. Division III national champions. You guys only lost 1 match this year, and that was to Springfield. How sweet was that to get them back in the finals?
Last year we had a really tough loss to NYU to end our season, and that was our only loss last year. And NYU was ranked number 1.
Was that in the semis or was that in the finals?
That was was in the region, actually, to go to the Final Four. Yeah.
Okay.
So the Final 8, whatever, the Elite 8, whatever. And since that year, our sights are, okay, we're going to get back at NYU. We're going to do this. And then here comes Springfield. And Springfield is year in and year out, they are the team to beat in Division III.
Yeah, Charlie does a great job there.
Yeah, since Division III championships, they absolutely, 5 or 6 or whatever it is, and 5 or 6 more beyond that before it was Division III championships.
Right.
So, yeah, okay, now we get to play them, and then we lose at their place. And I'll say this: I think maybe that's the most important loss that we've had for a long, long time. That helped us to see where we are, and for us to come back and to play the same team. I think that was a big deal. If we don't do that, and another thing that I'll mention, we have an All-American that was hurt for the second year before the finals.
Oh.
Sam Canlin's his name. He's an opposite. He's really good. He's a lefty. He's this big husky guy that can hammer a ball, and his attitude goes with it. So now it's his ankle. Last year was his back.
Yeah, Dave brought that up, right? Oppo ankle going down before the final. Oh yeah, yep.
But he was not able to play because of his back against Springfield when we lost to him.
Oh.
And if our guy that comes in that's really good, Jayton Hall, if he didn't have that experience playing against Springfield before and losing and having one of his worst matches, I saw him are going around the corner when we're going to the locker room. And I said, oh boy, I better go. I'm just going to go talk to him. And he's in tears.
Yeah.
He just thought he had lost it for everybody. And he did. He had statistically, he had a bad match.
Right.
If he hadn't had that bad match, I'm not sure he comes back with a vengeance and plays like he did. He
didn't fold, huh? Yeah, he stepped up.
He was solid.
So one thing I want to say to all the listeners listening to this, because the whole reason why we started this, Coach, was to spread the word of volleyball and tell stories and just talking about all levels. But for especially the young juniors listening to this, Coach Peterson has won 3 national championships. And he just said the best thing that happened to him and his player was to lose. Most of us can't stand it. Parents don't understand it. Oh my gosh, losing is learning. And he just said, again, Coach Peterson, a legend, just said the best thing that happened to that team was to lose. And by them losing, they were able to come back and win the national championship. And another thing about the personal side of it, a player who had stepped up into the game wasn't good. He wasn't very good. Coach talks to him, he learns, gets to the national championship, has to come in again because one of your best players gets hurt, and he crushes it, and you guys win a championship. So lessons to be learned. Losing's important. Failing is important. You've got to just take what you learn from that and get better. So thanks for sharing that, Coach, because
that's big.
I think it's lost. I think it's lost a lot in the generations today. Losing they don't take it the way you just said, and it's important to do that.
Yeah, life's lessons.
Yep.
And when you're just catered to and even taking it to an extreme, saying you deserve this all, or you're a victim here and this and that, it's a terrible way to teach our young people.
Yeah. So
by the way,
for this
the video of that loss, sorry, slowly.
Okay.
The video of the final point against NYU last year, 2 years ago, and the emotion on the team from it. I just have to ask, was that the motivating point for you? Like the rallying call all year, that final match from the year before?
Yeah, I've had that a few times. I would say I'll just go back to BYU when we beat Long Beach.
Oh boy.
In the finals.
But for the 4th straight time that year, right, Coach? Isn't that what you said? That was the 4th. I just want to make sure.
That's what I heard.
Okay,
That's
4th
right.
time. Yeah, okay, 4th time.
Sully has left the building. Holy crap.
Sorry, Hildebrand. Love you, bud.
Anywho.
The year before, we're in the finals, and we should have won. Shoulda, could have, whatever. If we play that team, in my mind, if we play them 10 times, we should win 9, 8. We lose. Excuse me, I have this cough.
Yeah, you're good.
But we lose the year before in a tough match. And our setter, who the following year is the MVP, player of the country, the national player of the year, our setter, he did not have a good match in the loss.
Another story.
But he dedicated himself that next year, the whole year, to never doing that again. That was a big deal. And now, same thing that happened in our next win. New team that happened with NYU. We dedicated ourselves, and what else helps is that we had way too many seniors this year. Not planned on, but we had 9 seniors.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, we're a little bit different. For those who don't know, we're we're affiliated with the beliefs of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Oh, LDS, yep.
Young men go on missions.
Yeah.
Sometimes they go on a mission right out of high school. Sometimes they go to school or college first and then go on a mission.
Right.
Sometimes they don't go on missions. But whatever they do, it just culminated in guys coming and going, that we had 9 seniors now.
Wow.
And so the maturity and the guttiness and the wanting to, from the year before that, to prove ourselves, that was a big deal.
That
was our 90-91. We lose to 90. We beat USC 3 times, and they beat us. And we just, as soon as we saw each other that next year at school, we saw in everybody's eyes we were on a mission for sure. And we lose to SC 3 times. Brian Ivey at his peak of his, of who he was, and then we wind up winning in 91. But you talked about when you lost against Springfield. Was it more of a humbling was it more of a humbling loss for them as a culture, or did it make them hungry? You know what I mean? Because there's a difference, and it just kind of depends on the culture of your team. So which was it for you guys?
I think it was more being hungry now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's always tough for me. Maybe that's just me, but when I see a good team that we're going to play, I can't just say, "Hey, we're going to beat those guys just because we're better."
Right.
It was hard. Springfield's always good. They were good, this year in particular they have more All-Americans than we do, I think. And
Sound familiar? Yep.
and so I didn't know, well, should we beat these guys? Should we not? And so it's more of a humbling, oh boy, we've got work to do, and now we're hungry, I think.
Right. Okay. Coley, I cut you off. Sorry, buddy.
Don't worry about it. No worries.
You're good. Yeah. So you said this is one of your most special teams for Division III, and you've been to the top in Division I. And how many more years you got left, Coach?
Oh my goodness. Well, as you can tell, I'm getting a little long in the tooth, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Year to year.
You're
Still enjoying it though.
Yeah.
I enjoy the guys so much.
Yeah.
And I enjoy
Important.
being here. I didn't know I would this is Virginia, and I want to say that for the whole state of Virginia, this is the first volleyball championship.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And and just the people that are here, my wife and I did not know when we came here a little over 8 years ago now that we'd like it so much. We could retire here. And that's a surprise to me.
Yeah.
And the people are wonderful. You can talk to them, and they'll just talk to you. My wife has a little joke that you go to the grocery store and you may only have one person in front of you at the checkout, but it could take you a half hour because that's going to get in this conversation with the cashier. Yeah, it's that kind of place. It's fun.
awesome.
That's wonderful.
What's life going to be for you after retirement?
I cannot imagine not being involved somehow.
Okay.
Somebody's got to take me and wheel me in somewhere and let me at least be part of something. Yeah.
It sounds like your wife will kick you out of the house potentially, right? That's awesome.
I have a question. I know you mentioned it earlier, and if you had this question, Dave, I'm sorry I'm taking it from you, but you coached both the men and the women. You're now with men. You've been with men for a while now, but what do you see the differences? And obviously, would like one or the other, but what's the difference for that?
Yeah, it's always a question. And again, I'm going to start by saying there are more similarities than dissimilarities.
Okay.
There are differences. The culture is just a little bit different. I think it's true that women don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. That's kind of a saying that is true.
Okay.
And I think that guys, you can just tell, okay, you guys go jump high, hit hard, and that's what they do. But women, I think they listen to you more. They're respectful, I guess, in a way and so if you're good at strategy and talking to them and not talking too long, because I think that there's a chance for a coach when you're talking to some gals, they will listen to you. And so you kind of feel this power and you talk too much. Just go after it, get things done fast on the volleyball court, and they will love you if you treat them well. If you don't treat them well, it's not good.
Yeah.
And sometimes they can hold grudges a little bit. They might not even say something to each other on the women's side, but they can hold a grudge.
We're all married, Coach.
Duke it out before that happens.
We're all married, Coach. We get it. Yeah, we only have to be in coach in that when you just said, kidding.
My wife and I, she played volleyball at UCLA in the early 90s, and we both got to coach high school together, and we coached the boys and the girls. The boys for 2 years and the girls for 7 within those 2 years. And I enjoyed coaching the girls more than the boys. And when we go back to coaching soon, and we're going to go back to coaching high school hopefully, or sometime after my son goes to college, we're going to coach girls. I don't want to coach boys. We want to coach girls together. So I think it's what you said for me, and I'm glad you said it, is I think they just listen a little more, right? And that doesn't mean coaching boys or men isn't amazing, right? But like they just listen a little more, and like I feel like you could teach a little more, right? And you get further along, and so yeah, great. I appreciate that.
Can I follow on a question to that? I'm sorry, Barry.
Go ahead.
Just so Coach Wingert was the announcer for the broadcast, and he said something that stuck with me, and I wanted to ask you about it because we've had this kind of this discussion around the D3 game versus the D1 game a little bit since I've joined. But he said something, and I'm paraphrasing here, but no other sports divisional athletes are closer than in volleyball. And I wonder, like, since you've seen obviously intimate in between D1 and D3 men's at least, like, is that gap really closing now? And they pointed out Jarrett Anderson, who went from Springfield and played at GCU last year, and he was playing against UCLA and playing against Long Beach in the semis and stuff. And so just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, in general, it's closer than what most people would think. Maybe there's a height difference. I mean, it's just like the draft in basketball. If you give a team the first 10 draft choices, they're probably going to have a better team. But 20, the draft number 20 is going to be pretty darn good. And I think it's kind of that way in volleyball. Maybe per player, they're a little bit taller, but the competitiveness and athleticism and all is pretty darn close. Actually, some of the smaller guys, as you guys probably would agree, are more athletic in a lot of ways. So, yeah, it's close.
Has it gotten smaller, that gap, over the years? I mean, over the decades, you've kind of seen it from both sides?
Well, I would say that the growth of volleyball is that there are so many volleyball players that are good that cannot go to UCLA or Long Beach or whatever.
Northridge.
So they filter on down.
Northridge.
Yeah. And I think that in general, we have to have, I don't know what the magic number is, but we have several guys that could go play in D1 and play most anywhere. And I think you have to do that if you want to win a championship. So,
and like you said, you're starting to see a little more parity in all college sports. Obviously, the portal's changed that, but a lot of it is because, when we were all playing high school volleyball, there was, at least where we lived in Southern California, there was club, but there was like 6 teams, like 4 teams. You'd have 8 teams. You'd go play at JOs, and there's 30 teams. There's not 500 teams. You go to a gym anywhere across the country on a Saturday and a Sunday during the fall for boys or in the summer. There's so many boys. There's so many girls playing volleyball now. It is ridiculous in a good way, right? The volleyball has been so much more. So like you said, like you train, you go get a personal trainer, you're on a club team, you're doing all this stuff. Not everyone gets to go to UCLA or Stanford. There's just not enough spots. So like you said, I know Chuck English, who's the assistant coach at Cal Lu, and I've been able to watch what they've been doing, and they took Santa Barbara to 5. I mean, they gave Northridge a run for their money. I mean, they lost, but they had chances in different matches and part of the games. I mean, and it's great to see that it's doing that, and I can't wait. Maybe you'll be the first one. Let's see a D3 team beat a D1 team. I think it would be hard for the D1 program, but I think it would be maybe another pivotal moment like your Penn State win against UCLA. Like, wow, there are a lot of options, and I could go to school and play this sport.
Cal Lu came close.
Yeah.
They went 5 with Santa Barbara this year.
So with D3 closing the gap on D1, and there's no athletic scholarships, and I don't know a lot about D3, is the NIL involved in D3?
I'm sure it will filter down just like anything else. The teams that in D1 that are the teams that have money, that's different. Those teams jumped in on the bandwagon really fast. When you pay millions of dollars now to get a basketball player, millions and millions of dollars to get this football player, it's just going to filter down. And in a lot of ways, I'll be honest, I think it kind of ruins a lot of things. But in D3, there are no rules. That's what about the NIL. And I don't know much about it except that there are no rules. What do they call it now? Instead of a donor, it's a
collective.
Collective.
The collective. That's all it is. It's crazy. We talk about it all the time, Coach.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys. So who gets to pay what? Who does what? And I'm sure that if some D3 team right now is trying to figure out who are these good Who has a bunch of money? Let's go get some guys and pay them a bunch of money so we can win a championship.
Yeah.
In some ways, that's a shame.
No doubt. I mean, we're all torn. I mean, I'm torn on it in ways, and we don't have to go down the path, but I think the athletes deserve to get paid, and I'll say that. I think they should have been paid years ago on their name, image, and likeness, and this could have been not solved easily, but it could have been resolved the right way 20 years ago had they seen they were making billions of dollars. With that being said, it is a shit show. And I have a son that played basketball in college during the NLL just started. He was at UCLA and then he finished at Eastern Washington. I have another one that's going to be, he's got one more year of high school and then he's going to go play basketball at Washington State. So I'm kind of in it and seeing it all. And it's great in a lot of ways, and it's really ruining sports in other ways. And it's a shame. And what it does is it hurts our sport, right? We just saw what happened with GCU, and it is all about money for most. And I don't know how to resolve it. I think they need to understand that it's a professional sport, and they need to contract it up, collective bargaining, salary caps, contracts, the only way to do it. And then kids are either going to have to pay the money back or they have to stay at the school. And I think it would probably solve a little bit, but that's, again, it's a long conversation. And you know, I don't know if I really know the answer to it.
Yeah. And you guys know more than I do about it. And if you don't know how to solve it, I'm for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot.
Well, and what's great about it is I'm going to pivot away from it is what's great about it, Coach, is you just won a national championship and you stated that this arguably could be the closest team you ever had. And you're not dealing with NIL bullshit. You're not paying kids to come play. You have kids that want to be there. You have young men, not kids, excuse me, young men that want to play volleyball, that love the game, that love each other, that love the whole process. That's awesome. And it's awesome that you're able to win it. And all of these men, as you know, because you've still talked to all the ones from the other, they have this for the rest of their lives. They have this with this group, with this family, with this team, with the state, with this whole thing with volleyball. They have it forever. And, you know, money comes and goes, but that stuff doesn't. And that's great.
Absolutely.
So to wrap this up real quick, guys, and keeping it on the national championship team this year, I want to kind of give a shout out to where these guys are from and how it's going to sting a little bit when the GCU. So Coach has got a kid from Brazil. He's got more kids from Arizona, Utah, knowing this is a LDS environment, right? But still, there's a ton of kids from Arizona, Utah, Nevada, Virginia. You have Pennsylvania. You have New Mexico. You have Texas. You have Colorado on here, all across the country trying to play this game at the next level. And we're talking a ton of Arizona kids, by the way, on Coach's roster. So I just wanted to point that out to close this out to say this sport is growing. To drop it is a mistake. And for these guys to come together from all across the country. So we're not talking UCLA, you know, SC, that's all from Southern California. You're talking about all over the country. Coach Peterson was able to put them together to win a Division III national champion group there. All kudos to you, Coach. All kudos to your wife, by the way, and your staff and all the guys there. Again, congratulations. And we were very privileged for you to come on Set the Pipe.
Well, thank you for saying that. Just real fast, they need to change Coach of the Year to Staff of the Year.
Oh, yeah, you can make that for sure. Yeah,
that's well said.
Important.
That's great. And again,
important.
I want to echo what Sully just said. Really appreciate you, Coach, coming on and to just telling, you know, giving us all your knowledge. I think one of the best things that I heard, which just reiterates it for me when I talk to my children, is, you know, how important losing is. Right. And we don't talk about it enough as in this generation with these kids. And I think just that message alone is fantastic. But you've been amazing. You crushed it. I hope you win another one next year. Go back to back. We'll be still doing this podcast. We'd love to have you back on. And maybe one of these times, do you ever come out here? Would you ever come out and play Cal Lou out here in California?
We'd love to. Help us fundraise some money.
Money talks, baby.
Yep, there it is. Give me another year until my kid gets up to school, because he's going to start paying me with what's going on around here.
I'll be there. All
no,
right.
but thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate it so much.
Welcome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Coach.